Good afternoon, and welcome to Brunch and Budget on Bonfire Radio with your host, Pamela Capallet, a certified financial planner here to help take the bite out of your budget, brunchandbudget.com. I'm your sound provider, Dialect, and here's your host, Pamela Capallet.
Thank you, Dialect, and thank you all so much for joining us today. We have a special guest on the line, Suzanne Polinsky, or Suze, the Rockstar Advocate, as she is known.
I thought Rockstar Advocate was her last name.
I know, right? Can you just change it to that, Suze?
Well, I would love to. It's easier to pronounce than Polinsky.
I mean, like a person whose name is Smith, they're a Smith, and, you know, it's like your last name's...
Oh my God, right? I love it. So we are so excited to have her on the show. We know that a lot of you out there listening are musicians and artists, and you know, how do you actually run your art as a business? And Suze is here to help you figure out how to do that. She's been in the industry for a super long time. I'll let her fill you in on all this stuff, but she has been in the industry forever.
This is one of those if you ain't already know types of things, especially for our Bond family and our New York City and traveling, touring community. Yeah. I mean, if you ain't down with the get down, it's about time.
Yeah, exactly. So like Atlantic Records, WEA, she helped create Mad Dragon Records with her fellow classmates. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, Suze. But we are excited to have her here today because, one, she has some really exciting stuff coming up in terms of the next couple months, some courses she's putting together, and then just like if you need one-on-one consultation or help, she is there for you. And she is actually an advocate. Like, she will be in your corner, and I feel like that a lot of artists don't have that person.
We have, and well, we've had this conversation a lot about bringing on an expert.
Yeah.
You know, we talked to Doc Post a lot, who does a lot of great work with social media, but we were trying to figure out what it was that we wanted to bring on, and I still want to bring on a few more of these people who are like, pay me some money so I can show you how to make your music. But the thing that's really important about Suze and what I think is necessary is the advocacy.
Yes.
Everybody will take your money and maybe they will blast your link to their followers or even maybe an email list.
Right.
But that is a different service.
Yeah, and that's different. It's not just marketing. It's looking at contracts. It's figuring out your relationship with your manager or your band even. I mean, you know how many bands break up because they didn't figure that shit out.
Yo,
so Suze,
that's all I'm gonna say.
We are so happy to have you. Thank you for joining us from Nashville, Tennessee, y'all. She made a big move recently.
She's down in Nashville, Tennessee. She's decided to advocate for them because, you know, Lord knows Nashville.
She can still do it all around.
Nashville needs advocacy. Yeah. I'm saying they need the special care.
They do. So Suze, I don't want to keep putting words in your mouth. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you came to be the Rockstar Advocate?
Well, first of all, you guys are the best, and that's probably like the coolest introduction that I've like ever gotten ever. So thank you very much. I am so stoked. I am so stoked to be here. I love what you guys do. I'm a huge advocate for Bonfire Radio in general, but what you guys do is so important because finances are like such a foundation. Like, you need to understand this stuff. So thank you for having me. Okay, so yes, the Rockstar Advocate. I started in this business about a little over 10 years ago.
Ooh, wow.
I did start with Atlantic Records. I was 18. I was running around getting them coffee, and they even did let me write copy for like their promotional flyers and stuff like that.
So you've read stuff she's written.
Yes, exactly. So, you know, if you saw like a Click 5 flyer back when that boy band was out, I wrote the copy for that.
Amazing.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Oh man, I used to send. We had accounts like Sam Goody and Tower Records where we had to actually send CDs out. I know, it was a different world back then. And so that's basically, I worked with Atlantic Records, and I was their college rep while I was at Drexel in Philly, where I did start Mad Dragon Records. We were a music business major, and a couple students and I, with the help of entertainment lawyer Marcy Rara-Wagman, we started Mad Dragon Records, which still runs today. It's crazy. It's still going strong. And after that, I worked at EMI Astroworks, where I did Midwest sales coordinator. I don't even know if that still exist these days. But again, it was with the Tower Records and the Newberry Comics, and a bunch of other strings of mom and pop and major CD stores. And then I left that and started doing my own consulting. I did have a business partner. We had 9 to 5 artist consulting. And then over the years, it just kind of evolved, and it went from writing bios and press releases and EPKs for artists to more one-on-one consulting. And I just started, it organically evolved itself. I mean, I would write a bio for an artist, and then we'd start talking, and then I'd get emails at like 2 or 3 in the morning. You know, I'm on tour. I miss my boyfriend. I miss my girlfriend.
Oh.
And yeah, I became friends with my clients, and it just kind of evolved over time where I was like, hey, I could be here for you, and like, let's do this together. And, you know, I saw the need for something more than just marketing materials, you know, and that became super important. Therapy and self-care has always been a huge, big, important deal for me. And I wanted to help artists see that, you know, therapy is not a bad word.
Yeah.
And, and self-care is important. And, let's not compete with each other to see who slept the least amount of hours.
Right.
I feel that. I feel like there is that, like, I'm working hard, I'm on the grind, I'm working harder than you kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And you hit a wall, and at a point, then it becomes, okay, well, if I want to still function on 3 hours of sleep, what can help me do that? You know, then you go down a darker rabbit hole.
Right.
So, yeah, so I just, you know, it took me a while. I grew up as a workaholic. I came from a workaholic father, and at 26, I was burned out. Like,
Whoa.
I hit a wall and forget it. And through the years, I've just really had to learn that you can sleep and get 6 to 8 hours of sleep and take time off and still magically get everything done. It's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah,
Tell us your secrets.
Well, I peep lots of productivity things, and one thing that's been consistent is, yeah, you do need to chill, or else you're not going to be as productive. You won't get as much stuff done.
Yeah. You can't just keep like burning the candle on both ends, or whatever that phrase is. But yeah,
right, exactly.
Wow. That's so cool though, because I feel like that when artists, you know, maybe go on tour for the first time or sign their first deal or whatever, they don't realize all of the emotional stuff that comes with that, and all of the things they have to adjust to and learn to. And I love that you address that head on with people, because that's what people need on the regular.
Well, we need it because we're doing art as therapy.
Yeah.
Like 99.100% of us are doing art as therapy for us.
Right.
So while we're doing like crying on stage for people, then some other, often finance related or business related, but with important emotional stuff to it, comes up while we're in the midst of our I'm getting out my emotions about this other thing. It's one of the reasons why we have such a disconnect. I've seen it in myself as an artist. I hate when I'm the promoter and the headliner for an event.
Oh, yeah. That's two different headspaces.
Right, and that's
God,
the thing, yeah. You really need someone to guide you through that other emotional headspace while you're busy trying to find your zen so you can go and rock your show, you know?
Exactly.
Well, it's so true, and I'm so glad you said it that way, that, yes, a lot of artists think, well, my therapy is my music. And, yes, that is so important. But like you said, then that other side with the business comes in. And so it's like, how much therapy you're getting, you know, like how much can you get out in your music? You know, people will start writing songs about how hard it is to balance a checkbook. It's like, you know, it's like
people do that. We need more songs for the show.
Well, no, people do. But, you know, I was just talking the other day about how I like to cook.
Yeah.
You hang out with Di, like you're going to get some food in you. But I don't want to open a restaurant. I don't want to make a business out of it because, like you said, you know, people say that your art is your therapy, but when you make your therapy your job, it changes.
Yes.
I remember the first day when writing felt like a job for me.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh, man, I haven't free written in a month because I haven't had time. Every time I put down a pen to paper, it was because of some assignment or something I was asked to do or some deadline I've got.
Yeah.
And, man, that is a different level of messing with your head.
It is.
Oh,
It's
100%.
It's so true. So I guess just to start off with, what are some of the biggest pain points that you see musicians and artists have when it comes to dealing with like the business side of things, the admin, the finance, the legal, all the stuff I feel like where creative people are like, I got into this so that I wouldn't have to deal with that stuff, and now you're telling me I have to times 1,000.
Right. Right. I think that's exactly it. I think a lot of artists decide, well, I'm going to pursue music so I don't have to have like a corporate job.
Right.
And it's like, here's the difference. If you want to just do music, you have a hobby. If you want to make it your life, then you have a career. And with that comes admin, legal, finance. So you can't ever avoid it if you want to make it a career. And I think that's such an important thing. That's one of the biggest pain points, like you just said, is that they don't realize that to sustain a career in doing music, you have to accept all of the other parts that go along with it, or you're just going to have a hobby. And there's nothing wrong with that, but just accept it.
Right.
So one of the things I find is that they have trouble prioritizing their purchases.
Bing.
So yeah, so they get, say they raise like $500, or they put away $500 from tips or their job or whatever, and then they get out and they say, all right, I'm going to find the top producer and I'm going to get them to like make me the best mix ever. And, they'll try to find, I don't even know if, how good of a producer you can get for $500, but, they'll find whatever they can. They think recording is the top thing, like the first thing they should spend their money on. And
that's true. That's exactly what we think.
He's
right.
Like,
because you think
right
music.
Yeah, right.
My brain, as you were saying this, was, well, that's correct. Yes.
And there's no disrespect meant there. That's totally an understandable, train of thought. However, if you're going to build a long-term career, you have to stop for a second and say, okay, technology does exist to the point now where I can get, do a lot of the music myself. I can get some friends to help me. I can, yes, people want crisp, well-mastered sound. Yes, you don't want to, go half-ass on your music, but you have to think, well, what comes first? Do I need a website? Do I need, figuring out how to get an LLC together, and I'm not saying this is the first thing you do on day one, but if you've come to a point where you're ready to leave your full-time job and you want to make this your number one focus, then yeah, you do have to think about getting your music copyrighted. If licensing is important to you and that costs money, you do want to make sure that you have somebody you can go to for legal questions, and that costs money. Getting that type of foundation down before you go and rent the tour bus or, get the fancier video camera. The fact that these phones that we have now are able to do an okay enough job to get us on Periscope to our fans, to reach out. We don't need all the bells and whistles right away for those things. So I always say to artists, be honest about where you're at. Maybe you don't need, the $10,000 music video if you've got 500 fans. So, think about what can I get by with the amount of fans that I have, and then what do I need right now in order to up level?
Word.
Yeah, I feel that. So it sounds like it's more about the money at the beginning should be spent with how to structure your business properly and connect to more people versus like looking as shiny as possible or sounding as shiny as possible.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's such a tough one because when you're thinking about your art and your work, there's your product, like the specific.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's not even the product. There is your primary entry point, which sometimes is the product. But even as a musician, because you have your visual artists and stuff too, I think of a song not as a product, but as a part of the package of the product. So you can be creative on that end, and if you want to go lo-fi, you can flip things, try stuff, and that's the place where you finagle your budget. While the outer stuff, the more structural stuff, that's where you should have a more concrete budget.
Yeah, and I feel like those numbers can be are usually more clear too.
Right.
Yeah.
And getting somebody, and I'm not just trying to promote myself, but like getting somebody in your corner, or finding somebody whether it's legal help or it's business, consulting or whatever it is, it's almost like kind of like investing in a house. Like I remember at the Bonfire Audio Fest in August, you had said, we talked about investing in yourself, investing in your career.
Yeah.
So, you wouldn't buy a house without paying an engineer to go look at it all.
Yeah.
So
right, exactly.
Before you throw your money into a long-term career, with fancy bells and whistles, make sure that, if you've got $25, don't spend it on, don't put it towards, I don't know, like the newest, upgrading to like a better camera or more accessories for your phone or something like that. Put the $25 towards an ebook to learn about budgeting.
Right.
Well,
put
and
the
20
yeah.
something like that,
Yeah, totally. Well, I feel like that we go to that stuff, and everybody does this, artist or not. You go to the stuff that's easy and tangible. You're like, oh, I need to sound better. Oh, I need these headphones. Oh, I need this thing. Versus, ooh, I think I need to actually pay for someone to give me advice.
Well, and also
something.
the invest in yourself thing, I almost don't like the term anymore because people have been abusing it. Invest in yourself oftentimes means buy this thing from me.
Right, exactly.
But what you're saying actually involves investing in yourself.
Yes, like literally.
Investing in your business.
Right. Well, and that's the other part of it. We talk so much on the show about diversifying your income and figuring out how to build income streams. And if you don't know where to start, and the thing that you're thinking about is, oh, maybe I need new headphones when you get money in, maybe it's time to reconsider where that money is going. And I think that that's a really good point that you bring up, to be like, hey, let's revisit, like prioritize the spending for a second and like look at the big picture. Like what is the end that you're trying to get to?
Right.
Yes.
Because the fact of the matter is it's education. And it's that whole, like you were saying before, with this hustle and trying to work 24/7, that whole work smarter not harder. We got to focus on the working smarter. Yep. And by doing that, we have to educate ourselves. We have to read. And I think why we go for the tangible, we go for the new headphones, we go for the new laptops, stuff like that, is because, as I'm sure you come into contact with a lot from artists, is that finances, budgets, money, that scares us because we don't know enough about it. Copyrights, contracts, that scares us because we don't know enough about it. But as you read about things and as you learn, you're like, I mean, I used to be afraid of the words like balance sheet. And then I started reading about it and I'm like, oh, there's a negative list and there's a positive list and it has to balance at the end. Oh, okay. Like once you start reading, right, the fear disappears. And once that happens,
yo, that's a good tagline.
Get a bumper, that on a bumper sticker, please.
For
Can we
real.
get that on
That would be too long of a hashtag, right?
No, the fear disappears.
Once you start reading, the fear disappears.
Right.
No, not the whole thing.
The whole thing. No, I don't know.
Can we get that like NBC chime, like the more you know?
Oh yeah, word. Or like G.I. Joe thing.
But it just sounds so intense. The fear disappears.
You just said that in a way that sounds like the fear doesn't disappear. I'm just saying.
Contradiction in terms. You see, guys, that was art right there, and we just did it for free.
We just did, yes.
We'll spend all the money on marketing the term. There will be T-shirts tomorrow.
God, I love it. So we got to go to a song right now. One thing I do want to say, though, is Suze is going to do a live consultation with Dialect at the end of the show, so definitely
she and I are going to do a live consultation, so we're going to consult Pam
about... And the fear will disappear.
The fear will disappear. No.
We're going to consult Pam about her music career, right?
Suze is going to... Yes, definitely. Let's start from zero, guys. Maybe negative if it's me. So, no, Suze is going to talk to Dialect about his music career, and Dialect is going to go along with it.
This is great. I actually, I've only... I guess I haven't really done any preparation because I already know what my career has been. I haven't researched myself. Sorry. But no, we're going to have a live conversation and it's going to be fun. No, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun for me too. The idea is to get a little bit of an insight into what actually the Rockstar Advocate does in her advocacy.
And what consulting feels like. and if it's something for you. Yeah.
Behind the curtain stuff right here.
Yeah.
Speaking of consultant and curtains, we're gonna go to our first song. It's "The Freeway" by Karina.
Hey yo.
Friend of the fam, Bond family. I don't know if I keep saying Bond family, but I don't know if that gives
sounds
people
right.
images of like people in shackles. It's not like bondage family. We just like it.
Jeez.
Bonfire
Now you
family.
put
Now
that
the fear.
anyway.
Now the fear is back.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I'm all about yo-yoing that fear with you. Anyway,
jeez.
we're going to play a song. It's called "The Freeway." It's by Karina from the record "The Freeway." Dope artist, and you will check us out, and we're going to talk more with Rockstar Advocate about being a rock star. Back in a minute. Bunch of Budget, Bonfire Radio.
Wanna meet me on a beach? We'll eat mangoes, drink mojitos, and smoke the finest trees. Read books all day, play guitar, finally get enough sleep. And every night look at the stars, let them tell us their stories. Let's go live on a boat. We'd never have to swim upstream, all we'd have to do is float. Crack some brews, squeeze the lime and fire up the grill. Spend afternoons watching the sun set beneath the hills. Let's stop paying rent. We've worked so hard for all these years and all that dough is spent. Let's create new ways to trade that don't involve a bank. Off the grid, no more bullshit like dollars, pounds, and francs. Next lifetime you and I will see the beauty in simplicity. Salt air coming from the sea, the colors of the changing leaves. Next lifetime. Let's take a much needed break. Next lifetime. Next lifetime. Let's live the freeway. Next lifetime. Next lifetime. Let's take a much needed break. Next lifetime. Next lifetime. Let's live the freeway. The freeway.
Welcome back. Brunch and Budget, Bonfire Radio. That was Karina. Karina. Beat me to it. With the freeway. From the freeway.
Yeah.
Right here, we're not in the freeway. We're in the studio.
No, definitely not in the freeway.
But we are not in the studio with Rockstar Advocate because she is in Nashville.
Yeah. Calling in from Nashville, Sue's the Rockstar Advocate. Thank you again so much for joining us. And you and Karina have a thing, right? You were saying during the break.
Like you.
Yeah,
like,
we have a
You're like you
we
and
have a
Karina have a
thing.
thing.
See, now you're starting rumors.
I
Now
know,
you-
right?
no.
Everybody spread that.
I'd be honored. It's a great rumor to be a part of. We go way back, and she actually Willie Green, who I'm sure a lot of you are
Shout out
familiar
Willie
with.
Green.
He's my boy.
Bond
Love
family.
him. He introduced us a couple of years ago. God, it must be like 5 or 6 years ago, and she's amazing. And I have to just give her a quick shout out because on top of being an amazing artist that just knows really what feels like to do it all yourself, she was really integral in forming what is now the Rockstar Advocate, because I was at like a crossroads with how I could help artists, and she was very open about post-tour depression because this girl tours non-stop.
Word.
And yeah, and we did an awesome interview that's up on my YouTube channel. It's just Rockstar Advo on YouTube, and she really just put it all out there and really explained how hard it can be to adjust to life before and after a tour, and that really helped show me that like, wow, I can help artists with that adjustment and help them get refocused and re-energized and re-inspired. So shout out to her. She's just awesome.
Ooh, that's so cool.
Also, shout out to post-tour depression. That's real.
That is so real.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. I feel that.
Mhm.
Well, on that tip then, what are some of your tips for staying productive and creative on a regular basis?
Yeah, so I would definitely say first of all is read. Whether it's for pleasure or about the business, definitely read, because reading and getting out of your own head for a little bit and learning something new or learning something about somebody else really gets you going, and you learn a different perspective, or you learn something new about the world, and it transports you. So that's definitely something. When I'm stuck, I just finished reading Yes Please by Amy Poehler. It's, oh my God, love it.
So funny.
And whether it's that or you read Harry Potter or something,
Right.
get out of your own head and really get into a good book. Even if you read for 10-15 minutes, that's something that I always tell people. Another thing is, and this is kind of goes along with it, self-care. Again, it's this counterintuitive type of thing where you're stuck and you've got writer's block, or you're just not feeling it, or like Dialect said, you're not writing for fun anymore, and you're just not feeling it. Walk away, put it down, go outside, go for a walk, go see a movie, take a hot bath, go hang out with friends. Like, no one's saying go on a 2-week hiatus and disappear,
Right.
but take an hour for yourself and really go take a nap, something that
Naps.
and it's
Yeah.
it's so counterintuitive, because you start to stress out more, like, oh my goodness, no, I'm running out of time, I can't do that.
So true.
It's not gonna happen. You will trust in the process and that will do it. I can't tell you how many times I used to call my mom hysterical, crying like, oh, I'm not getting anything done and I can't focus and I can't write these papers, and she'd be like, go for a walk and call me in 20 minutes. And I'd be like, what do you want? Go for a walk? Like, I have to get this done. Okay, are you listening? And I would finally begrudgingly go for a walk, and it was like, it changed my world. Like,
Word. Mom
it's
knows
amazing.
best, man.
right? Don't ever question your mother. Don't do that.
Well, it's funny because people don't know actually how their brains are taking a break or how you recover. And one of the bigger things I found from all sorts of productivity people and people who work in psychology, and even just, from other artists and art therapists that I've worked with, is distracting your brain is really important for your brain getting stuff done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Totally.
And I feel you on the sounding counterintuitive because, yeah, it does sound kind of crazy to be like, oh, you need to get this done in an hour? You should chill for 15 minutes.
Right. It's
Right.
like, what? Well, and the funny part is we've all experienced putting something down, coming back to it, and being more productive. And every time we're still resisting it. We're like, no,
Yes.
that's crazy.
Even though you know it worked the last time, you're like, but
Yeah.
it can't work this time because I'm under the gun. Like,
Or
no,
you're-
it will.
Well, you're remembering the time that you put something down and never picked it up again. But
yeah.
again,
Well,
not to be too.
You're bringing that fear back, though, dialect.
Well, check it
Yeah,
out.
you're bringing that
Well,
fear
this is
back.
my thing. Not to be too artist hippie about it, but that project that you put down and never picked up again, maybe that you were done with it.
Right.
You didn't care about it.
Yeah, maybe it didn't need.
Right.
It was, that was like you were the reason you made it. You were practicing for something else. Maybe that wasn't the
Right.
thing that you needed to finish.
Right.
Yeah.
You gotta
totally.
you gotta think about it this way. If you're gonna treat this like a job, and think about if you were in an office and your boss said, "Get this done by the end of the day," and you decided, "I need to go for a walk to clear my head," and you came back and you still didn't do it, you probably wanted to quit that job anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yo, for
Yeah.
real.
You know-
If you take a walk and from the thing you're doing, and you still don't want to do the thing you're doing, if you do, you're distracting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your answer.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to trust yourself that I'm going to take a walk and this is so important to me. I will still want to do it when I get back. like,
Ooh, and if you
know.
don't, again, now you know.
Bye.
I love
Yeah.
that. Oh man,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Okay, cool. I'm gonna start doing that now.
And for the more
Mm.
practical people that are like, no, I want proof in the pudding, like give me something right now to be more productive, I will tell you, download Forest. It's an app.
I just downloaded that.
It will change your life.
Wow. Okay, tell us
It-
what Forest is.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh man.
Forest is awesome. It's this cute little app. You plant a seed. So you tell the app, okay, I want to work without checking social media and without checking my phone for, say, 15 minutes or 60 minutes, or I usually do about 75 minutes, but, whatever you do. And then you start getting to work, and then you go check your phone because we just naturally always
Right.
pick up the phone.
You're like, I'm
And when-
distracted. Yeah.
Right. And when the screen light comes on, you see this itty bitty tree starting to grow. And it says, please don't kill me. Because if you check your phone, you kill the tree. And who wants to kill a little tree that's saying, please don't kill me? And it is so satisfying. And then it'll buzz at the end of the time you set, and it'll say, you let me grow. You earn whatever,
you
how many
planted a
forest
tree.
seeds.
And it
Yeah.
has this like pretty chime where you're like,
Oh.
oh, I reached my time limit. There's a
It
new
is
tree.
It is like free to be you preschool years of just like the
Yes.
most simple thing, but it works. Like, oh, I've gotten so much done since I've downloaded that.
It
Man.
totally works.
Emotional manipulation has never been cute.
I know.
It's so
It got
true.
Don't
deep,
kill
right?
this tree.
Don't kill this fake tree on your phone that you decided to put on the app.
Well, what's the next
And
level? Though? Like, if you kill the tree too many times, do they bring out a puppy next? After that, is it like family
No, you
members
just-
and stuff?
You just eventually are responsible for killing off an entire rainforest. And
Yeah.
then, your carbon footprint is like humongous. And
This is the
Seriously,
worst
you know.
video game ever.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't know why it's satisfying, but it really is.
Not
It
killing
really
a digital
is.
tree is satisfying. Come
Yeah,
on.
you're just like, oh, okay. Oh man, that's a good productivity hack.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and
a,
it's one of
it's a
those
mind
things-
fuck, but it works all the
It
time.
does. And one thing that I've learned about productivity is like once you're in it and it doesn't actually feel hard, but just like the idea of starting it, people are like, holy shit, there's this huge obstacle in my way. I don't want to fuck it up.
Yeah.
Let me just not start it.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on. That's
Yeah.
just like the creative process. I mean, like
Yeah.
a lot of all of it is getting over that first step.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the other thing to say to that point real quick is to break it down into micro tasks, because again, a little mind trick is to start crossing things off your list. Sometimes I put things on my to-do list that I already did just so I can cross it off and feel like, ooh, okay, now the ball's rolling. Like,
I have
I
seen
got
him
this.
do that.
I will put down brush your teeth, comb your hair, take a glass of water, and then like, yep, did that. All right, now I'm doing
now
things.
you're moving. Ooh, so really micro.
Well, I mean,
Micro.
That's
Yeah.
real though.
So-
Mom Elect has this thing about more than nothing. And you
Yes.
do want to
Yes.
feel like you've done more than nothing. And
Yes.
you will say, I'm not productive. Goes into the whole writing down your goals thing. It doesn't feel as real. As silly as it sounds, it doesn't feel as real as when you write it down.
Yeah, totally agree.
I definitely get the whole brush your teeth thing.
Yeah,
It'll work.
it works.
It works. You did something. Congratulations. You did more than a lot of other people.
Yeah. Exactly. I love it. So what are, I guess, my next question for you? So you've got this productivity down, you've got the creative stuff down. Where, I guess, does an artist start? Like, how do they know what they can do themselves, and how do they know when they should consider hiring somebody?
I love that
That's a
question.
good question.
So, and here's why. Because everybody is going to wait for the cookie cutter answer, and there is not one. But here's what I tell. But here's what I tell every artist. I guess in a way it is kind of cookie cutter, but that there is no one way to know. The first thing I tell artists to do is write down everything you think you're awesome at and that you love to do. Even if you don't think you're awesome at it, what do you love to do as it relates to your career? Some artists love booking and scheduling tours. Like, some artists love it. Some artists love being on Facebook all day and communicating with their fans. Some artists
Right.
hate it. Not to
Yeah.
say they hate their fans, but they just hate being on social media.
Right.
So, figure it out. Just make a list. Just start brainstorming. Don't judge it. Don't freak out about it. Just list it. Brain dump everything that you do for your career and write in an I hate column and an I love column. And then look at the stuff that you hate. Maybe you don't understand copyrights. Maybe that is totally out of your league. But I've come in contact with plenty of artists that don't need me to help them with copyrights because they got it. It's second nature to them. That's fine. All right, so then don't pay somebody to do it because you can clearly do it. But if you hate booking a tour, if you hate coordinating all of that, then maybe you hire a VA, a virtual assistant, for a few hours a week. Don't always assume I need a booking agent because maybe you're not at that point. But maybe it just comes to having somebody make a few phone calls for you, or you write one email and then you tell your virtual assistant, I need this sent out and explain to them, change this part here, change this person's name here.
Right.
Tell them who you want them to say, get a semi-capable person to just send out emails and, pay them $10 an hour or something like that. It's a few hours out of their week that they can make money, and it saves you time. And not only does it save you time, but then you hate your job less because it's getting taken care of. You don't have to do something you hate, and you're free to do what you love to do. Now, maybe that's copywriting, maybe that's social media, maybe that's going to networking events and meeting new people. So my first thing is to tell them, figure it out, what it is about this business that you love and what it is you hate. And then think, okay, out of the things that I hate, what has to get done? Like, what can I not ignore? And then those are the things that you outsource and or find somebody to collaborate with to help you out.
That makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like thinking of my own stuff, I guess, in prep for our thing. I completely understand how artists can have similar things that sound like the same thing or the same headspace to other people, but to them they're completely different. And like copyrights, that's easy. I love copyright stuff is nothing. I'll download my Form TX. I remember I used to print them out on paper, and you make your compilation and send it. Which sounds really similar to booking a tour or booking things in general.
Right.
But man, I hate anything that requires a ton of follow-up.
Yep.
When you have to have like 10 emails before anything is in stone, I'm like, by the third email, I'm like, dude, do you want to do it or not? Ugh.
Just decide.
I'm gonna go make a rap song now.
I'm gonna go about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that though, because that takes the way that you put it too. Just takes a lot of pressure off of. I need to. It's just like what you were saying before. You don't need a booking agent. You can just hire someone who likes following up with people. They don't need to be connected. They just need to do what you would be doing instead. Like, you don't need to go to that top level yet if you can't afford it or if you don't need it.
Right. And with all the apps that are out there these days, I mean, like, I've got somebody that goes grocery shopping for me. Doesn't really cost me a whole lot extra. I tip them maybe $5. They get paid through the app. And I hate food shopping. Is it hard? Do I not know how to pick out food? No, of course I can. But guess what? Like, I don't pay an accountant. I do my own taxes because I took classes on it and I know how to do it. But I rather use my money to pay somebody to find my food for the week. So,
I love that.
but I know friends that are like, oh my God, I will give you $1,000 if you do my taxes. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are people that don't even want to look at numbers. So to each their own. You got to figure out what it is you don't want to do and what it is you can't live without. And when those things overlap, that's when you know who you can outsource to.
Yeah, gotcha. Oh, that's such a good answer.
Yeah, that's great. I love
That's
that.
awesome. So, what are some of the mistakes or missteps that most artists end up making when they try to set up their business? Like, what do they need to avoid? How can they go back and fix stuff that they kind of messed up?
I do believe, first of all, and again, this is something that took me a while to learn, but everything is fixable. I mean, short of like committing a crime, most things are fixable. I mean, if you've been fraudulent with your taxes, I don't know how to help you, but most things are fixable. You know, stuff used to scare me, like forming an LLC or opening up a bank account or like a business checking account. You know, if you make a mistake, you know, nobody's perfect. These institutions know people do this on their own and make mistakes. You can talk to somebody and get those things rectified. Maybe not always for free. Maybe sometimes you pay a penalty, but you live and you learn. Nothing is concrete. My friend used to always say to me, like, stop worrying, just make the decision. And if you make a mistake, you go back.
Yeah.
So the first thing to answer that when it comes to, you know, when you've gotten to the point, I love being a musician. I'm going to make this my career. This is now my life. The first thing that I would say is most of them look towards what they know, and what they know is mainstream. And so, you know, rappers, for instance, and like, you know, Dialect, not to throw like any genre under the bus, but
please throw us under the bus. That's where we are. Where we live. but to look towards, you know, a lot of my clients were rap artists in the beginning, and they would say, well, I got to form a record label. Oh yeah.
And I was like, why do you need to form a record label? Well, again, you look to what you know, and you see the Jay-Z's and the Sean Puffy Combs and the L.A. Reid and Babyface, and you see, you know, they got their own label. They got, you know, you ask Jay-Z why he did it. Well, because nobody else would distribute my music. Well, right, and that's a fair point to Jay-Z, but right now, are you at that level? You know, you don't need don't form a record label necessarily unless you've got the means and you need to do it. You know, you can much easily be a sole proprietor and save your money if it works for you, you know. So the first thing I would do again is read, you know, go to your state department of you know, for businesses, and figure out, okay, well, what are the fees to be a sole proprietor? Mostly they're very small. You know, what are the fees to form an LLC? You know, you don't need to be a corp or an Inc. or, you know, or have your own. And you're talking to somebody that made that mistake. You know, I came out starting a record label because I thought that's the only way I could help artists. No. And my partner and I threw thousands of dollars down the drain trying to keep a record label afloat when we weren't even really bringing in money yet. Yeah. So figure out what you're ready for right now, and know that if you start out as a sole proprietor, you can always grow and up level to an LLC. You can always grow an LLC up to a corporation. Yeah. So do what you can handle right now, but I do recommend keeping, you know, form something. Keep your business assets separate from your personal.
Yes, and think of them as assets.
Yes.
I love it. So we got to go to a song because next we got to do the live consultation. Ooh, I'm so ready for this.
So, I don't, what?
Dialect's always the guinea pig. I love it.
I used to have a guinea pig in college. She was,
so cute.
She was very sweet.
Oh my God.
Speaking of sweet, I'm going to take us back a little bit to a record called Charmed Life. It's by artist duo called Iceberg, RJD2 and Aaron Livingston. And this came out in 2011 on a little label called Mad Dragon Records. So, which some people may be familiar with.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. So we're going to play this song, and then we're going to judge-elect again. Yeah, y'all, you know y'all love that. Check you in a minute. Brunch Your Budget on Fire Radio.
I got beans and a bowl of rice. What I need is some strong advice. Then again, I like to be comfortable. Give me the key to that 530. That's right. Let's be civilized. We'll live a charmed life. I just can't put you aside. Not just yet. Don't waste time, my darling. Took a left, and we hit a dead end. So it went, but I think we should do that again. If you got time, then just stroll on by, and when you arrive, you'll see I'm in no condition to drive. How this one will drive you wild. I mean to love you, drown in light. Tonight, let's be civilized. We'll live a charmed life. I just can't put you aside. Not just yet. Don't waste time, my darling. Don't waste time, my darling. Don't waste time, my darling. Right. Don't waste time. Don't waste time. I'm alive, but I'm nowhere you know. I'm right here, but you think that's impossible. Though I showed up, I can't leave your side, not just yet. Plus I'm in no condition to drive.
Welcome back, Brunch Your Budget, Bonfire Radio. That was Iceberg, which is a combination of Aaron Livingston and RJD2 out of Mad Dragon Records
Yeah.
with Charm Life, and we're here with Suze the Rockstar Advocate.
Yes, we are.
Drexel in the house.
Drexel in the house. I was once in a car accident right in front of Drexel.
Oh, good
Ooh.
times.
I was 10 years old. It ruined my pro basketball career, or at least I was still injured when I tried out for the high school team.
No.
And it was terrible because I was never that great of an athlete, but I looked way worse because my back was messed up and I couldn't jump like half an inch off the ground. So basketball was like the worst one.
Oh
So
my God! Is
so
this the beginning of
that's
the
my
therapy?
I guess the beginning of therapy. That's when I hear Drexel. That's what I think about. Getting hit
And
by a car
how
as a
does that
kid.
make you? How does that make you feel?
Like I feel weird about Philadelphia universities.
Let's explore that. No, I'm
Let's
just kidding.
explore that. Well, we are actually going to let you take over and do what you do best, live consultation with Dialect, our
man.
lovely
Yeah.
guinea pig right here.
And,
all right,
and just to warn folks, so since we're because we can do what we want because we are grown-ups, this show may go to overtime, and if it does, well, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
But yes, let's go. So what's the first thing we should rap about?
He looks a little nervous, Sue.
All right, I'm gonna put on my consulting voice. Hello, Dialect.
What's a
We're
good
going
voice?
to disappear the fear today. Are you ready?
I'm not sure if I'm ready, but
I'm just kidding. I don't
I'll
really
let you
talk
know
like
when
that.
I'm ready. That I'm ready.
I was hoping the whole interview would just be like, well, hello.
Well, hello.
Well, that's actually a pretty soothing voice.
It is. It is.
You
to
just
work
try
on
to-
So is your regular one, though.
It is.
So Dialect. So
Yeah.
tell me on a serious tip. So what about your career? On a daily basis, you're like you just kind of see fog? Like where do you feel is just like you can't take the next step because you don't even know what it is?
Yeah, that's a good. I guess I have a couple of areas. One of my big things that's difficult is long-term planning. I mean, one, because I'm an artist and I like to be free to vary what I'm doing, but my arts are entwined with education and with theater and things that need like solid amount of lead time before putting together. So I don't know. I am often having trouble seeing a solid years of everything because I'm deciding, well, should I get myself a semester at the school where I'm doing this hip hop and artist thing, or should I take this and do smaller things out in other places? Which is
Right.
So yeah, that's one thing that's a bit of an issue for me. Another thing that like I can do, but I don't love doing, I was just talking about earlier, is like booking and staying on top of being my own, because I'm my own booking agent. And one thing that's been difficult for me over the years is I don't have a booking agent because the booking agents I've had have not been able to deal with my whole. So I do rap, theater, and education, and I sort of do it at once. I'm looking to book myself in a school and their theater and their bar in an area for a time, and I'll work with other people and they'll be like, I think I get that, and then they won't get it and it'll be a waste of my time. So I often feel overwhelmed as a booker because I'm booking myself in all of these areas where a big part of my audience are people who don't think that they're going to be my audience. Like, I hip hop for theater people who don't think they hip hop, and I theater for hip hoppers who don't think that they theater, and all that kind of stuff. So it's already like an interesting sell that I'm doing, and I'm doing it in all these different areas, kind of making the same pitch sometimes in the same day to different folks. So it can be a bit mind-bending, and it's a type of, that is the thing that I will like push aside and go, shut up, I'm just gonna write a song and ignore it for a minute. So yeah, so those are some beginning ones. I think that's right. Those are good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I would definitely say makes total sense, and I hope with Hamilton coming out this year, it makes theater people a little bit more open-minded to hip hop.
Everybody says that. I wrote Rat Place like a decade before him.
But overall, what I would say is one of the things that stuck out to me when you said that you kind of avoid or don't really like the long-term planning type of thing, and that obviously you have to do it with certain things in your life. One of the things that usually comes up for people is there's an underlying, when we procrastinate, it's either because we don't want to do any of it, like you said, if it really wasn't meant to be, you just give it up, you just don't want to do it, which that's not what this sounds like. And the other reason is because of fear. We get paralyzed because of some underlying fear, and that's why we procrastinate until we just can't anymore, and then we have to overcome the fear, and that can be very stressful. So usually when I notice people procrastinate or don't want to address things like long-term planning, it's because it's that fear of, or that worry, or the stress of thinking, well, this is just going to change, or this isn't, I'm going to spend all my time setting this all in stone, and it's not set in stone, and it's just going to, and then this whole kind of apathy of like, well, what's the point kind of happens. So I think something that could help also is just accepting the fact that there's no right answer, that you do need to a certain extent plan long term, but that doesn't, you don't have to necessarily make it set in stone. So just because it's long term doesn't mean it's not flexible. So I think if you just, say to yourself, okay, I'm going to sit and plan for 3 or 6 or 12 months ahead, but I know, and just, remind yourself, I know that this could change. I'm accepting of that. And I just need to do this so I know what my next steps are right now. Because sometimes without the long term, we can't see right in front of us.
Yeah,
so,
that makes sense.
Right? It's like, because like you were saying with the school and everything, like if you don't give a plan, then you don't really know what your next steps are, because then what are you working towards?
Right. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, and
so
you
go ahead.
I was gonna say, because you brought out something that I just realized when you were talking about my fear about getting these things together. It's actually like my big fear and my issue that I think that all of this is control. I don't like being beholden to stuff. Like the whole reason I'm an artist entrepreneur is because I'm not, like you were saying, it's so much closer to a 9-to-5 than we want to admit to ourselves.
Yeah.
I like feeling like I'm much more in control of what I'm doing, and I'm not building my year around the big gig, which, a lot of times I am. Yeah. Which is, and the thing of it is, that's not crazy. People in all sorts of genres, not just in the arts, people who work in packaging, people who do, there are a lot of folks who, it's not an unheard of thing to where you're building your year around your big gig. I feel like there's a thing in me that's like, I want to be more in control of that. And I think that's, thank you. Help me, a little mini breakthrough.
Well, I think part of getting that control back is saying to yourself, I know that this can change, and if I want it to change, I'm gonna fucking change it.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Like saying to yourself, okay, these people need to know what my plan is. All right, nobody says that I have to keep this 12 months from now, so it kind of takes that stress off, like you said, not being in control. No, you are in control, because at any point in time you can change that, and you can say no, and you can set different boundaries. So
how do you do that without burning a bridge?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you just burn a bridge.
Great question. Well, because you just have to you just have to roll with it, and as things come up, and you can say to, you always want a backup plan. So if you're going to change your plans, and your boss or somebody you're beholden to is, well, wait a minute, that's not what we discussed. I understand that. But look at what a better circumstance this is going to be when we change it. People don't like change. And the biggest thing, I've had clients where like our plans change. We think we're going to work on something together and it becomes something else. And the best thing to do is to alleviate that fear of change and show them why this is better, and that change happens, and without it, we wither away. You have to stay flexible.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily have to kick the door down and be like, listen, game change, I don't like this anymore. You could go in and say, listen, I really want to keep my promise to you. I see where we're going with this, but what do you think about, and let them in on the change a little bit. What do you think about this? How do you feel about this? Instead of like, boom, this is happening.
We're going to pause real quick because we've run out of time for the regular show. So for those of y'all who are going to be listening live, listen to the song we got for you. What are we playing here? Oh, yes. From out of Montreal. This is not an artist that Susan's worked with. I just thought that they were really interesting. Their name is Brown, and they got a song called Nwiggers. Yeah, take that as what you will. Brunch and Budget, Bonfire Radio.
We are going into overtime, and you can find them in the archive.
What? I'm really feeling lonely now for a moment. Weird niggas say que j'aime mieux, puis sont ready for a moment. Six niggas pognés pour chiller la majorité de l'autre. Belle niggas stay too ready pour faire le party. J'connais belle niggas, puis niggas on the tennis lane. pense pas à la même chose. Si tu connais d'autres niggas, mon nigga, vas-y parler. Mon nigga, donc mon nigga, yeah, nigga, so what's up? Yeah, nigga, prêt à faire tourner ce gars, nigga, ben puff. Yeah, nigga, un nigga, ben filet dans le chest. Yeah, nigga, can't stop, I'm Superman, nigga, nonetheless. Yeah, un nigga, call deux niggas qui ramènent 5 niggas. Yeah, 5 niggas dans avec 20 niggas, ça fait plein de niggas. Yeah, plein de niggas, plus plein de niggas, ça fait plein de niggas. Yeah, j'pourrais considérer même niggas, il va rester 15 niggas. I'm feeling lonely dans son monde. Deux niggas, c'est déjà mieux, puis sont ready for more. 6 niggas pognés pour chiller dans la majorité de l'autre. Deux niggas, c'est ready pour faire le party. Niggas and wiggies feeling ensemble dans leur un contre l'autre. Niggas bonne foi, mais niggas pas de poignée dans le dos. Niggas bonne foi, mais niggas pas de poignée dans le dos. Je monte, nigga, facile de pouvoir être somebody.
So I talk to the people about reality.
One nigga feeling lonely in his world. Alright. Two niggas coming together, let's see if it work. Oh yes. 10 niggas getting stronger while we're singing these words. Hear me say, 1,000 niggas look like them ready to party. Unity is strength and I know it will make us stronger. Can't take the fussing and the fighting among us no longer. You and I unify, bonify like brothers. By the powers of Jaja, we have each other.
Un nigga feeling lonely dans son monde. Deux niggas, c'est déjà mieux, puis sont ready for more. 6 niggas pognés pour chiller dans la majorité de l'autre. Deux niggas, c'est ready pour faire le party. Niggas and wiggies feeling ensemble dans leur un contre l'autre. Niggas bonne foi, mais niggas pas de poignée dans le dos. Niggas bonne foi, mais niggas pas de poignée dans le dos. Je monte, nigga, facile de pouvoir être somebody.
Yeah.
And we're back. Yeah, you know. We're continuing on. This is the overtime period.
Overtime period.
You just heard Niggas by Brown, Montrealians, French rap.
Yes, I love it.
Love French rappers.
Me too. Me too. So we have Suze still on the line from Nashville, Tennessee, doing some on the spot consulting. We did not plan this.
We did not plan.
Script this.
We didn't.
Dialects breakthroughs are really happening.
I don't even know what's happening. It's all going through my body.
It's
I'll
amazing.
deal with it later.
I love it. I love it. All right. So what's next? I'm so anticipation. Woo.
Well, all right. Well, dialect, you
Yes.
know, we've worked through, at least beginning to work through this fear of long-term planning. You did mention that, you know, when it comes to booking and touring and all of that, that booking agents don't really get you. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, that's like a stressful thing where it's like, it's not that I can't book or don't know the nomenclature or, you know, how to do that and follow ups. But it can just be, it's very wearing and draining. And it's because I'm in a number of different areas. And then when I try to work with liaisons, like booking agents or like you say, you know, just people who are calling and emailing on your behalf. Like you said, you know, Hamilton, I guess, helps some. But it's often, it's performance work in of itself just to explain what it is that I be doing. I'm always the type of cats who's like, can I just come and kick something for you? Maybe then you like, and then they understand type of thing. So it feels like I'm wearing, you know, too many hats at once. So it's always been it's just always been a pain point of mine. I don't dig it.
So right now, like your usual, if you could like walk me through like
Yes.
a quote unquote usual type of scenario, like from start to finish, like you find somewhere that you think would be good for you to play, and then what, you reach out to them?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to me in working with venues rather than trying to work with agents, I hit up and I do these things by myself, and they're very different pitches. Pitching a 6-week group of workshops for junior high students than it is to pitch a night of a rap show.
Sure.
So like the fact that I'm doing like all of those pitches, it's a lot in my head. It ends up feeling like the creative work my creative brain wants to spend on other things.
Right.
Right.
Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And is it usually the same type of frustration regardless of the venue, where it's more like, okay, it's easier to explain if I'm just in front of you? Like, is that usually a hurdle that comes up?
That's one of the big hurdles. Yeah, I get when you're saying it's like it's the same type of thing, because it's generally like most of these things are. It's not like I can't pull it off. It's not like it's very difficult. It's just doing it a lot, because you know with venues and roads and all, you're like hollering at everybody walking down the street. Psst, psst, hey you, hey miss, hey, you know. So it's more wearing than anything.
Right. Because what came to mind when you were explaining it is, if, you know, for the most part, now I get, like you said, every venue and situation is going to be different, but for the most part, if you could kind of pinpoint like a flow of like a sequencing where, you know, you first send out the email, you reach out to them, you know, you see a show that maybe is coming up that you want to jump on, or you have an idea for an event that you think would be great at their spot. If you could kind of work out like a very broad sequencing of events that take place, then I think, you know, like you mentioned, like booking agents and stuff, when you work with people in the business, a lot of the times, you know, they're very closed-minded. They're very much like, they'll put you in a cookie cutter. It's this or that, and if that's not it, they're like, well, I did my best, I reached out, what can you do?
Yeah, that's part of my problem, is like they'll have their process and I'm like, no, it doesn't feel collaborative. I don't just have your process, do things
right. And what you need is your process, you know? So what I think is helpful in these scenarios is to work with somebody that's not in the business. So, you know, like you said, you know, you like having that control. I think a great thing for somebody like you is to, you know, get, say, like a college kid or a new graduate who wants to be a virtual assistant, or even somebody that you know that you can meet with to be an assistant or an intern, or somebody looking for a mentor that you maybe either can pay them a small fee or mentor them and, you know, give them something in return, where you say to them, listen, here's how this is going to work. And that way you've got the control. You're telling them how to approach certain venues when it comes to you and your performances. You're telling them what you want the email to say and how, you know, what your boundaries are. Listen, if the venue comes back with this, I'm okay with that. If they come back with this, I'm not. You know, kind of working at a very basic sequence, and begin training somebody to do what you do. And it might sound like a pain in the ass, and it might take a few hours, but it's going to save you in the long run so many more hours, and it'll save your sanity. That way somebody else is doing it on your behalf, but they're doing it your way.
Well, yeah, that's perfect, because you just even giving me the way to do it, like, oh, it's going to take some time, you're doing the thing that I like. Oh, I like teaching. I love teaching. What I don't like is arguing with somebody who's an expert in what they're doing. So it's funny, because when we think about, and this is like, you know, also for our listeners, because I know that as an artist, whenever I think about bringing in another person to work with my project, especially if they're, you know, not like a musician, I always think that I want to bring in someone for their expertise. And that's something that I feel like we're taught. Like, if you're getting a publicist, the reason you're getting the publicist is for their connections.
Right.
If you're getting this. So I've never, as simple as the thing you're saying is, and as much sense as it makes, I never thought about, just grabbing a person.
Right.
And it's so interesting that you said that, because it's so true. And Pam, like you and I were saying earlier, one of the pitfalls that happens to artists is that they go with what they see. Oh, publicist, that's what I need. No, you need to get your name out there. Now, maybe you're not a big enough name just yet for a publicist, because the publicist will put you, and I know we both know people that have fallen into this hole, that you pay good money for a top publicist and they put you at the bottom of the pile, because all they want is to buffer their roster. And they've got somebody they can pull from when they're in a pickle. but they're not there to advocate for you and get you press. You're just another name on their list. And one of the things, which is why I say to artists, this is your career. You are the CEO of Artist Enterprise, like Dialect LLC. This is your business. So when artists ultimately say, oh, my goal is to get a record deal, my goal is to get signed,
right,
that should never be the goal. Your goal is to make a living off your music. Your goal is to inspire a buttload of fans. And a record label, in some cases, can help you get there. But you're playing by their rules, you're using their money, and you're on their time. So it would be better in your interest to figure out, like I said before, getting somebody that's beneath you to do things your way that can just get things done, not tell you what to do,
right,
not, like you said, expertise. You are an expert. You've been at this, you know what to do. You just want somebody to get it done.
Right.
No, for real.
Yeah.
I feel that. That's completely true.
And I just want to go back to, you made such a great distinction. You don't need a publicist. You need people to know who you are. And those are two completely different things. And the one thing is, I need to go get this one thing. And the other thing is, what are the different ways that your brain just went when you just said, I need people to know who I am,
well,
right?
I've worked with publicists before, and one thing that I know now, and I learned through those processes that really is important with publicity in general, is what are your goals? And if you're like, I just want more people to know who I am, don't get a publicist. Because that's not what they do.
Not at all.
Like, if you want a certain writer to review your stuff, if you want a certain publication to review your stuff, what you need to research is what publicists have a rapport with them. I remember going with this publicist who had great ratings, great references, and like we spoke and we had a great rapport. It was all cool. And I had goals, but I didn't put them together, and she didn't draw it all out of me, so we were just going on blithely and whatever. And then I noticed her failing benchmarks that I'd never set for her, but were set for her already in my head.
Right.
Which, it's not fair to anybody in that case.
Right. Oh, man.
If you have a publicist, your publicist should be there to get you a specific thing.
Yeah.
And I guess a lot of these, that's what I've learned with a lot of these groups, right? If you're social networking, social media marketing, you should have actual goals rather than I want to be more known.
Yeah.
If you want to be more well known, just go rap in a corner. I did it. It works. People know you.
Know you. And then
You're like
what?
the rapping guy.
There you go. There you go. Is there anything else that we should unpack for dialect, Suze?
This is all really helpful.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm so happy. Basically just to remind yourself how much power you have. Because a lot of artists think, well, I'm not known yet, so I don't have, who am I?
Right.
I'm this independent artist. I need everybody, I need a manager. I need this, I need that. And again, it's all because we watch TV or we see somebody that's where we want to be, and we hear these buzzwords, and that's it. And if you make it a point to read every day, even just 15 minutes, if you make it a point to learn about the business that you're in, you'll find out, as you already know, publicist isn't what we think it is. But you hear these buzzwords, you learn the wrong thing, and then that's what happens. And so I would say to you, it's like you know what you want, and you know where you want to go. Don't try not to get caught up in the booking agents that aren't doing what you need them to be doing, and start taking more of that control back and build your team in a way that works for you. I would think that, and you and I have talked before. I mean, you have amazing ideas. You're incredibly creative with the things that you want to, the shows that you want to put on. People will respond. You just got to keep knocking down those doors. You got to keep getting their attention. And if that isn't worth your time, and your time is better spent creating other things and working at the education part and all the other things you're a part of, then you can easily delegate that to somebody else. And definitely, like, again, it all comes back to knowing your strengths and knowing what you love to do, because the less time you spend doing things you hate, the more energized and inspired and productive you'll be.
I mean, that's super real.
I love that. Oh my God.
Man, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I am not fronting y'all. Not only am I informed, and she told me a lot of things that I needed to unpack and put together in my head, but I really do feel better about these things.
Aww, good. I'm so glad. That makes me so happy.
I mean, it helps that we know each other and we cool and all that. So but I also trust what you have to say, and you've been able to unscramble stuff in a way that only the third party does.
Yep.
It'd be some simple stuff like now, the stuff that we just talked about. In my head, I'm like, dude, you know that. Like, you don't like this one thing. You should probably do. Like, it's all, and
yeah, it's all in there. But hearing,
but everything is always all in there.
Right.
Even
exactly.
as an educator, my thing is always I'm teaching you stuff you already know. But getting you to focus and, I don't know, have a conversation with the thing.
Right.
To
and
confront
have that
what
be
it
the
is.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
man, this was so awesome.
Oh, I'm so happy. Well, it's giving yourself permission, and as humans, we're not good at that. And especially when we're trying to make something happen, and we're, the underdog, or, we've been at this and it's not happening. You have less of that chance of giving yourself permission. So, that's what I'm here for. That's why I call myself the advocate, because give yourself permission. I've been in therapy. I was in therapy for a while, and I'd have all these breakthroughs, and he wasn't telling me, some wisdom that I've never ever heard of. It was he gave me permission to do things that I didn't realize, give myself permission to do. And that's what, how I feel I can best help artists. So I appreciate you saying that, because that's always been my goal.
Yeah, that's worked out. I think if you don't have if you didn't know what a Rockstar Advocate does for you,
Now you know.
now you have a much greater
well,
understanding.
And Suze is the Rockstar Advocate, straight up. The Rockstar
The only, there are
Ask
no other
about
advocates.
me.
Yes, for real. So, Suze, we can find you at therockstaradvocate.com, right?
Yes.
And at
yes.
the Rockstar Advo, or no, at Rockstar Advo, ADVO. And on Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope.
Yeah, she periscopes a lot, y'all.
Yeah, it's true.
Every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday evening, I'm on Periscope. I give free advice. I do these kind of free consultations and on-the-spot stuff. So, anybody else want to sit in the hot seat, feel free.
Hey, yo.
Yeah,
I love it.
Well, and that sounds really good way to, group therapy is always a great thing. I enjoy doing this kind of stuff with you, because it's like, how you say you procrastinate until you have to do stuff. That's how I became a freestyle rapper. It's like, what? I didn't write the verse. So this is great. It's like, oh, you on the spot? Let's go. All right.
Let's do this. I love it. Thank you so much for being on the show and going into overtime with us. We love it. We don't do this very often, and we are very excited to get to do it with you.
Yes.
Thank you,
Super
guys.
shout out.
I can't wait. I know we'll be collaborating on a few more things in the future that we can eventually let the public know about. And this was like one of my favorite interviews that I've done, because you guys have such a great energy. I am such an advocate, to use the word, for Bonfire and for Brunch and Budget. You guys are doing the work that is needed, so thank you.
Well, and the same here. I really think what you do is needed. We don't have being that you are the Rockstar Advocate. I think we need more advocacy for our rock stars in general.
For real. I love it. Awesome. So I guess you're just gonna, that's it, the end.
That's
Yeah.
it.
You already heard your 3 songs, guys.
You heard the songs.
We'll talk to you next week.
Get to work.
Next week. Yeah, get to work. Make your own song. That's the last song. Love y'all. Brunch and Budget. Bonfire Radio. Check you next week.